Welcome back to America's Boating Club's Sail Course. In this chapter, we were going to be covering navigation rules. And now we have a word from the Power Squadron lawyers. When you have to know the rules where you are sailing and where you are sailing. Are you in international waters, coastal waters, inland waters, in Canada, the US, or somewhere else? These slides don't cover everything, but they'll give you a good start. The primary point of having the navigation rules is really to help us so that we avoid collisions and injury and damage that may occur. So Rule 2 says that we should do any and everything that we can do to avoid a collision. That includes breaking one of the other rules if that's what's necessary. Rule 5 says that every vessel should at all times maintain a proper lookout. To make sure that we are aware, the boat is aware of any situations where you might be running into someone else. So maintaining a lookout is important to avoid collisions. Rule 6 says that every vessel at times should proceed at a safe speed. So if you're in limited visibility, what you would do is you would proceed at a speed that is so that you're able to stop or avoid collisions in the distance between where another boat might be approaching. Rule 7 is we need to avoid collisions. Even if you are the right-of-way boat, you need to be prepared to avoid a collision should the other boat not be paying attention. This is probably most appropriate at Clinton Lake when most of the people down there don't know the rules at all. So if we're going to take an action to avoid collision, we want the alteration to be large enough to know that the other boat should know that you are taking action to avoid a collision. Often when I'm crossing, when we're crossing in a port starboard situation, when I'm on port, what we'll do is we'll holler out to the other boat, hold your course, we're going to avoid you. This rule is about providing assistance at sea. So what it tells us is that if someone is in danger, that we should give all possible aid, as long as we don't put our own boats in danger, to that boat. So if someone, I remember one time I was doing really well in a race on our way back from, a distance race on the way back from the dam, and we were coming by and we were passing a sunfish, and the sunfish had capsized, and so we went over there and we asked the guy if he was in danger, and he says, yeah, maybe so. And so as we went by a little closer, the boat was totally submerged, and as we got closer, I said, well, how are you doing? Where's your boat? And he says, well, I'm standing on the mast. And so we stopped the race, we stopped racing, and we went over and picked him up and brought him to shore because he was in deep trouble. Here are the basic right-of-way rules that we follow when we're out on the water. Vessels not under command. What this are boats that are drifting or anchors at anchorage. They're not going to move, or they're not going to be able to take avoidance techniques. The second rule up is vessels restricted in their ability to maneuver. This would be like boats towing another boat. They have restrictions and they are not able to avoid us because of the tow line that's back behind them. Vessels engaged in fishing. We're not talking about bass fishermen out on the point. We're talking about those that have nets that are hanging behind, or trout lines and things like that. And so vessels engaged in fishing can have less maneuverability too. The next one up in the pecking chain is sailing vessels. And that, a sailing vessel is a sailing vessel unless they turn the motor on, and as soon as they turn the motor on, they're a power boat. And so then they have to follow the rules for power boats. And the only thing that's the power boats get right away from are seaplanes. I remember several years ago I was sailing out on Puget Sound in Seattle, and I was on a day sail with a group that was chartering boats out, and I was on a Santa Cruz 70, which is one of the fastest boats that sails on Lake Michigan. It's a beautiful, smooth, wonderful boat. And So the captain let me drive for a while. And so while I was driving, there was also a cruise ship that happened to be on shore. And so as I'm driving, I'm a sailboat now, and then we've got the cruise ship that's also coming our way. So the captain, the owner, in good taste said, "Jerry, avoid the cruise ship. We don't care whether you're a sailboat or not." What I call that is the rule of tonnage. Small boats have to keep out of the way of larger, less maneuverable boats. Let's go over the priority of right-of-way here. The way the right-of-ways work is that these boats have the boats at the bottom of the list have the least amount of priority. So seaplanes, power boats have priority over seaplanes. Sailing vessels have priority over power boats. Fishing vessels are over sailing vessels, and so on. Now let's look at some of the rules that apply specifically to sailboats. Now we've got two terms that we want to consider. A stand-on vessel is a vessel that has the right-of-way, and they're expected to hold their course. The give-way vessel is one that doesn't have the right-of-way and needs to take avoidance action. We've got a port tack boat here and a starboard tack boat. The way you tell what tack is on is which side the wind is coming across. So in this case, the wind would be coming across the starboard side. The boom is on the port side, so this is a starboard tack vessel. Down here, the wind is coming across the port side. The boom is on the starboard side, so the wind is coming across the port side, and it is a port tack vessel. So in this case, the starboard tack boat, the green boat, is the one that has the right-of-way. It's the stand-on vessel. When boats are on the same tack, then the leeward boat has the right-of-way. The leeward boat is the one that is downwind from the windward boat. What this does is it provides some protection for the leeward boat because because this boat is blocking their wind, they have less maneuverability. And this rule gives them some protection to keep their air clear. Here we have an illustration of a port starboard type approach. This boat, we can't really tell exactly whether he's starboard or tack, so if there's in doubt, the port tack vessel just needs to stay away, give away. I've been in several, protest hearings where people are, the rules have been a little nebulous. If you're on port tack and you break, and go into a protest system setting, you're toast. They're not gonna hardly ever vote in your favor. In this situation, we're illustrating an overtaking boat. An overtaking boat has to keep clear. Even if it's a sailboat overtaking a power boat, the overtaking boat has to keep clear. And the way you tell whether an overtaking boat is if the lights were on, the navigation lights, you would see the white light on this section of this area of the back of the boat. In this slide and the next slide, we'll kind of see how these light systems help us determine who has the right-of-way. The navigation light on the starboard side goes back 90 degrees plus 22.5 degrees. You could see the green light on this side. That means they're giving the green light to boats approaching from this direction. On the other side, of the port side of the boat, port side is red, port line is red, so it's 90 degrees plus 22.5 degrees. So boats approaching from this direction see the red light, and they would not have the right of way. They would need to give way. Boats that are approaching from the port side are generally the giveaway vessels. Let's look at this one here just a little more closely. So this boat here is a stand-on vessel. He would be showing his red light on this side and his green light on the other side. This boat would have his green light on this side, and so the red boat would be the giveaway vessel. You would be able to see the red light, you would be able to see the green light through this 112 degree arc. When two boats are meeting head-on, the convention is to just alter course to starboard. This is just like passing on a U.S. highway, and that helps us keep track. Now, again, the objective is to not run into each other, so that's what we're going for. Running lights should be displayed from sunset to sunrise. In this case, on this rowboat and a small sailboat, they don't have running lights, and then you can use a white light, a flashlight to shine to let people know where you are. On sailboats less than 23 feet, they can use a flashlight shining up on the sail to satisfy the requirements of navigation lights. Here's a more typical configuration of a sailboat. We'd have a green light on the starboard side, a red light on the port, and then a white light on the stern. The side lights are only visible for 112 degrees. The green light is only visible on this side from 112 degrees and a half. The red light on the port side is only visible from 112 and a half degrees. And then on a sailboat, the white light on the back is visible for 135 degrees. Boats less than 65 and a half feet or 20 meters can also have a masthead light at the top of the mast in addition to their white and green lights. And the stern and side lights. Power boats, instead of having a white light on the back that's only visible for 135 degrees, need to have a white light that's visible for all the way around 360 degrees. That's the way you can tell at night whether you're looking at a power boat or a sailboat. A sailboat could have, under power, can have the light at the top of the mast that shines all 360 degrees. Another option for navigation lights is to have a red over green on top of a sailboat. This is an option, but it's not a combination with the boat, with the next. In this slide, we've got our red, green, and white lights all coming out of the same fixture. So we can't have those red over green and then a white line. So these are all in the same fixture, which is different than the previous slide. If a boat is under sail and motor, in other words, motor sailing, they should fly a triangle apex thing. It looks like this. And it should be flown up there. So when you're motor sailing, which I occasionally do down in the BVIs, technically we should be flying that. And the practical matter is, I don't think I've ever seen anybody flying one of those out in the real world. So it's kind of just optional, I guess. Fishing boats at night generally look like small cities out on the water. But they will be displaying a green over white light at the top of their mast, which is fishing at night. The general rule is whenever you see a strange light pattern that you're not used to, the white, red, and green, just avoid the area because it's not, it's not worth messing with. Here's another configuration for red over white fishing at night. So we've got a red light over a white light, which is a boat that's fishing at night. If we're out sailing and the fog rolls in, we need to let other boats know where we are. So if we're a power boat, we're going to put on our horn, we're going to have one long blast every 2 minutes. A power boat that's underway but stopped is 2 long blasts with a 2-second interval every 2 minutes. A sailboat underway is 1 long blast followed by 2 short blasts every 2 minutes. Sound signals can also be used to alert other boats of dangers, and that would be 5 short rapid blasts. These signals would be deployed when you don't understand the signal from the other boat or when sufficient action needs to be taken to avoid a collision. Sound signals can also be used to let other boats that are approaching know how we're going to pass. In this example, the boats are going to pass starboard to starboard. So this is their starboard side, this is their starboard side. So they're going to go starboard to starboard, and they would sound two blasts to let the other boat know what they're doing. We would sound one blast if we were overtaking a boat and we were going to leave them on the port side. So we're going to put the boat pass on the port side of this boat. We would sound one horn blast to let them know that we're planning to go by leave them to port. If we were going to pass them from behind, the giveaway vessel would then respond and would have two blasts, and the stand-on vessel would reply with two blasts, knowing that they were going to then leave the boat their starboard side. Now let's go over our vocabulary for this week. A vessel is anything that you can use to transport things on the water. A power-driven vessel is one that has a motor that can propel us. A sailing vessel is a vessel that sails that uses sails to propel it. A vessel engaged in fishing is any vessel that uses lines, nets, and trawlers, which restrict maneuverability. A vessel not under command is a vessel that for some reason is unable to maneuver to avoid things. Underway is a vessel that is not at anchor. A restricted visibility is any condition which is restricted by fog, mist, snow, rainstorms, and such. A giveaway vessel is a vessel that is required to take action to get out of the way of the other. A stand-on vessel is a vessel that in a meeting situation generally has the right of way and should hold their course. A masthead light is a light at the top of the mast that shines backwards for 135 degrees. Side lights can be either green or red and shine on the side 112 degrees. A stern light for a sailboat would be a white light on the stern of the boat that shines for 135 degrees. An all-round light is a light that shines in all directions, typically indicating that the boat is under power. A whistle, well, that's a whistle. This concludes Chapter 22, Rules of Navigation, some of the rules of navigation. And it also completes the end of the material that will be a part of the exam for the sail class.